So is there a skepticism you would like, say, Mitch? Is there a skepticism you would like, having said all that, kind of, because Randy's version of it is the things I don't want to be real aren't real.
Yes, yes.
And that's not skepticism.
Right. The skepticism that I would like and the scientific model that I would like is one that's not exclusivist, is one that doesn't make the determination that because we've identified one factor, we've identified the whole, we've identified something in its entirety. In fact, Richard writes in one of his books, I think it's The Dice Game of Shiva, if I'm remembering correctly, that Richard, when you were at Oxford, there was a disease called nothing but. And people would always say, it's nothing but this. The placebo effect is nothing but the release of endorphins in the body. ESP results in lab studies are nothing but confirmation bias. This, that, the other thing, the experience of the holy is nothing but, the release of some enzyme, in the brain or the central nervous system, so this disease of nothing but, I think, has limited our ability to ask authentic questions, to be skeptical. I'm very interested, for example, in some of the current research being done into the placebo response. And, it just gets more and more fascinating and more complex as researchers experiment with different kinds of placebos, ranging from placebo surgeries to transparent placebos to placebos that are actually tested not only on inert substances, but substances that are considered to have some psychopharmacological value that might deliver a kind of added experience if you introduce some sort of shift in perspective on the part of the subject. I'm very interested in all of that. But what you'll be told by most people who report on the sciences, as opposed to those who are in the sciences, which also is another issue entirely. It makes up the overwhelming block of our skeptics today, are people who report on science rather than actually are scientists or MDs or researchers themselves. They will say, well, again, as I was just alluding, it's nothing but the release of endorphins. It's this, it's that, it's the other thing. And because you've gathered one piece of the puzzle, don't turn yourself into a blind man describing the elephant. One grabs its tail and says it's a snake. One grabs its leg and says it's a tree. There could be dozens and dozens of things going on. There's some response in the body that reflects either the spiritual appeal or the presence of hopeful expectancy. And we've got pieces of what that response is. Why should the arrival of one of those pieces lead us not only to think we have the whole, but to think that we understand the trigger and everything that's going on? So I want to get rid of this exclusivism. I think that would help all of us.
Yeah.